Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the August 1st, 2023 Springbank 15-year-old. Dustin, as always, comes in at 46% and a beautiful dark whiskey that we know is natural color.
Non-chill filtered. All the stuff we like.
46% ABV. Maybe not all of it.
We wish it'd go to 48.
Beggars can't be choosers, Dustin. Beggars can't be choosers. But they can be commenters.
Yeah.
And that's what we are. All right, Dustin, another year, another Springbank 15. Always appreciate you picking these ones up. Basically all sherried, right?
100% sherry. This release, we'll get into it, Mike, but I do think they mixed up the maturation a little bit from the last two. If you may recall, the last two, the 22 and the 21, were super dark, super oaky, and our expectation was we believe those were, if not all first fill, darn near it. So 2023, new release, and let's dive in, man.
Purple and Springbank funk.
It's got that little bit of barbecue sauce note.
I
I have not gotten on a Springbank in a while.
If you ever remember to do a set of blinds, set me up with a whiskey as transparent as this. You can instantly smell that. Like, that's sherry and that's Springbank. Not a whole lot more, but if you like those two things, and who don't?
Monsters. Monsters, I tell you.
That's what you're getting here.
You are so dead on with that purple note, Mike. It is so purple. It is Dimetapp and Welch's grape juice with barbecue sauce and like a magical combination that should not work, but it does beautifully.
I'll give you a note on the nose I've never said before. I'm big hamburger guys, you know. This is Five Guys barbecue sauce, which is not like other hamburger barbecue sauces. If you've never had Five Guys hamburger barbecue sauce,
It is different.
do yourself a favor. Tangy. I call it Texas barbecue sauce.
Has a nice European oak note. I don't know if I'd go Texas there, but all right.
Not that I had anything like that in Texas, but it just feels right to say it that way.
I don't get any mesquite. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, on that or this whiskey.
No.
Well, yeah, it's very sweet, but I'm getting that nice like European oak, but it's like it's been drenched in those sherry casks. They've soaked in. Now, that said, Mike, I'm not getting that slightly minty, heavy oak note that we got on the last couple of these Springbanks. It's much more likely that this has refill sherry casks with some first fill versus all first fill, assuming they're using the same style of casks.
Wet sherry wood. It's just been doused.
Yeah.
It's been doused and floating for a decade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if maybe they switched up where they got their sherry casks, because this just does not have that oakiness to it.
Wet.
But it is
Dank.
It's wet, though. Like, it has a wet sherry note. That's what's confusing me here. And that's why I kind of paused earlier, like, I'll let you get into it, but it's a different sherry profile.
Sure.
This is more classic Springbank sherry, whereas the last couple have been almost like signatory style, where going with heavier oak.
It's amazing that I look at that bottle, I know what to expect. And even expecting a big, heavy sherry punch, I'm still impressed with this.
Yeah.
It's different than I expected. Wetter.
It's gone
but not
back
danker.
It's gone back to their roots a little bit. Although if you go back to like the black box 15s, some of those were getting into like soy sauce,
Agreed.
baby diaper kind of a thing.
This is
that was
different.
not nice. This is all pleasant, all nice, but it is. Again, I initially my thought was this was 75 refill, 25 first fill, but nosing it again, maybe they just got a different cask. Maybe these are American oak sherry butts were used in this or something.
It's a great sherry note. Bordering on fantastic.
Whenever they did, we got to start emailing Springbank and seeing if they'll share some stuff before we do these videos, because I really want to know more about each of these releases.
Agreed. We do them all.
Yeah, I mean, somebody at Springbank has got to have watched our videos, because I can tell you right now, Mike, the Springbank 15, every time we do a video, we get easily 1,500 views within, 2 years, and maybe less. So everybody cares. Springbank should want to put out the information, and we could definitely be happy to distribute it.
Well, we care. So
And at Springbank, we would also be happy to, if you want to send special release samples to us, we're happy to take those.
we'll pull no punches. We give no promises in that regard.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be an honest review. But I would, if you guys want to send us, some of those committee or society bottles or opening days.
I can be bought, but not for a bottle of whiskey. Well,
I mean, we're talking like, double dark, 100 proof, 12-year-old from
1926 Macallan. Bowmore last drop. Maybe.
Those are bottles I'm selling. Now,
All right, Dustin.
those classic Springbanks, I'm drinking that.
Look, if you like a sherry bomb, you found your whiskey. If you're a Springbank
Yeah.
fan, just the 15 usually doesn't get me that excited. Mm-hmm. It's the least, other than the 10 of the core range. But man, they're so singular in their focus normally with this whiskey. But that one focus is just so engaging to me and most whiskey drinkers. Big sherry, Dustin. Big sherry.
Yeah, so on the palate, I do start to get maybe hints of that little bit of mintiness from the oak. But again, it doesn't get nearly as oaky as those last couple of releases. Man, it is also really peated. As Springbanks go, this is definitely on the higher peat side. I mean, just good sherry. Not that intense, dark first fill note. Much more balanced and more classic Springbank 15. The funny thing is, Mike, I got to where I actually really, really like that super dark style of Springbank 15. And so this one initially is like, it's not that. But man, it really does. It's just classic Springbank 15, but it's clean, with the only adjustment being that it's got a little bit more of that minty, more European oak note.
So really similar arrival on the palate. When you swallow, though, you get two things: big sherry swell, oak spice. Mm-hmm. But initially on the sherry swell, it's Diamond Tap sherry. It's so dark initially and just lightens up, and then goes into the oak note on the finish. Now, this is one of the simpler Springbank 15s, but you hit up on one thing that is true throughout the entire experience, and that is clean. It's not as sherried on the palate as it is on the nose. It's definitely peatier on the palate, but the whole experience is clean, almost like a Hazelburn Oloroso.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very similar. Just on the whole edge of this experience. What I mean by edge is just 1% of the experience too is just this little candied sugar sweetness on the end. And you get that with those clean Oloroso 12s and 13s and 15s that we really like. But this whole experience is clean. Wisp of mint, wisp of sugar on the very fringes of this experience. Simple but clean and direct. No wasted movement. Everything here is valuable.
But I am going to go back to my complaint that I bring up so often on Springbanks. And this one I think is exceptional. We just had the Kilkerran 16, so it's a good comparison. Mm-hmm. This comes off thinner than that Kilkerran did. It's got more flavor.
I disagree.
But the oils, the mouthfeel,
I disagree.
A little bit thinner. Doesn't linger on the finish as well or as long. Now, that said, you get that punch of sherry up front, that beautiful peat in the mid-palate, which blow the Kilkerran away.
You said that backwards, right? You said that backwards. This is the more oily, longer lasting.
No. For me, the finish on this and the oiliness is lighter. The up front and the mid-palate are 10 times stronger than the Kilkerran.
Okay, so just to finish the first part, you meant this one, right?
This one, the finish is not as long-lasting as the Kilkerran for me.
And you think the Kilkerran is more dense, the 16 than this?
Slightly more dense, yes.
I disagree with you.
Not substantially, but slightly denser, yes. This, to me, comes off a little too thin on the palate. Let me go back with water.
Let me check it out with water. And I'm just going to put a tad bit more water in there.
We just had the Kilkerran last with water, so I'm trying to go back to
correct.
No,
you're right. My thought was this was had a slightly oilier mouthfeel than the Kilkerran 16. That was my initial thought, just having it. Now, sherry does feel thicker to me sometimes. It gives off that vibe of more viscosity. But I would have said the exact opposite. Not by big margin.
Yeah, no. And now that I go back, the arrivals may be a little bit richer on this one, but the finish, again, it's like the oils just go away instantly once you swallow. And you get a nice oak tannin note here, but that Kilkerran had a nice lingering spice and oak note. It's not lingering with any kind of richness, oiliness. It just kind of disappears, just leaving you with some oak.
You know what? With water, it's just as thin as the other one. You might be right, Dustin. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think that Kilkerran had just a twinge more, which is actually,
now that I concentrate on it, I think you're right.
What's disappointing me on this 15 is the finish and that mouthfeel there. It's good, but man, it's so when you nose this thing, it's so rich, so full, and you're hoping
I don't know
the
what
palate
made me
will
think
cover
that.
that.
You know what? I must have just
It's the boldness of the sherry up front. I mean,
you're right.
the up front, and then it's got that nice peat in the mid palate.
when I focused on it, it was right there in front of me.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. At least with water, you're absolutely right. But I'll take it for granted now that Nita was the same.
You know, guys, let us know. Would that be an interesting comparison? Kilkerran 16 versus Springbank 15. I know they're very different whiskeys, but they are priced the same. They're both Campbelltown.
I'll skip to the finish.
Yeah, but I think it'd be an interesting one to like really kind of compare them side by side if people are interested.
All right. Before you try to sell the people something else, well, let's get to a whiskey score on this one. Mm-hmm. I'll go first since you're drinking. Another extremely enjoyable Springbank 15. Going back and forth between two scores. I'm going to give it the higher of the two scores. 88 out of 100. I was going back and forth between 88 and 87. 80 out of 100. Maybe a little bit generous on this one, but again, I'm a sucker for sherry and peat. I'm a sucker for what comes off as a clean whiskey that still has big, bold flavors. Mm-hmm. You pointed out some negatives to it. I may have been more enthusiastic about my 88. Maybe I've been between the 88 and 89, but still finished at an 88 if you didn't draw my attention to the mouthfeel and the viscosity of it. But you are right about it, and it didn't handle water great, just like the Kilkerran did. 80 out of 100 is still a good whiskey. I'm going to say it's a light 88, though.
Yeah.
Light 88. Light in the pants, Dustin.
So
flyweight 88.
So one final note I want to make about the whiskey before I give my score is that...
Oh, by all means.
The last two of these, they kind of drowned out that classic Springbank malt. Springbank malt is still here.
For sure.
The sherry didn't overpower it. Mm-mm. That said, 87. Mm-hmm. I was between 87 and 88, just like you were. Mm-hmm. It's really nice, but... I kind of
Dustin's harder on Springbank
that refill sherry note just isn't
like a cheating lover. He's harder on Springbanks these days.
I have high standards.
You do. You're holding these to a much higher degree than I can't, because basically you gave to Kilkerran
an 86,
right?
It's an 87.
Well, I guess I'm 87, 88.
Okay, but I was saying there was a light 86 on the Kilkerran, and this is a strong 87 because I was between 87 and 88.
And I have a light 88, lightest 88, lightweight 88.
Yeah, no, it's good. 150, 175 is what these seem to be going for.
That's about right.
Depending on market, if you're paying 200,
you're paying too much.
That's a little rough, but maybe not a bad one-time buy.
If you like sherry whiskeys, it's not terrible.
Yeah,
good ABV. We pointed out the only real flaws with it. It's a straightforward whiskey.
Nobody else is doing Springbank style sherry either. So I mean, either you pay for it or you're not.
Right, and it is a dark, dirty, dunnage sherry
with that nice Springbank peat that's brought up a little bit.
And the peat's good here. The peat's on the palate.
Like it's a really good peat. Yeah,
it's on the palate. See, the Springbank note goes along with that peat. Like the more peat Springbank has, like the more Springbank it is in a lot of ways. Anyway, those are our thoughts on that.
Beautiful,
Dustin. Next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you next time.